The most popular girl from my high school is getting married. She invites our entire class to the wedding. I want to pretend I didn't see the message, but she deliberately tags me in the group chat. You pretended to be a rich girl like me back in high school, but I hold no grudge. In fact, I'll allow you to attend my wedding tomorrow to see what a rich life is like. The other classmates start commenting. You're so generous, Clara. No wonder you're marrying someone from the Montero family. I can't believe you can even forgive someone as materialistic as Elisa. Does someone like Elisa Martins even deserve to attend Clara's wedding? She's so full of herself. As the insults escalate, Clara Silva steps in to maintain peace. Come on, let's put this behind us. I'm not bothered by these things anymore. It's been so long. Let's not hold a grudge against Elisa, who's already so poor and unattractive. Everyone in the group starts praising her, calling her kind and innocent. I let out a sarcastic laugh. Clara was the one pretending to be rich. I'm the real heiress of a wealthy family, but she turned me into a liar and made me the target of everyone's insults. I check the digital wedding invitation and see that the venue is my mansion. The groom looks familiar. Isn't he my husband's driver? I smile at the thought of what's about to happen. I reply, sure, I'll attend your wedding. Oh my God. Elisa Martins is actually going to the wedding tomorrow? Really? Remember when she lied about her dad making a donation for a new academic building? And when she claimed to be the daughter of a tycoon? She just wanted to copy Clara Silva. How does she even have the nerve to show up? It's true. Clara was so kind not to call her out back then. If it were me, I'd have made her beg for forgiveness and transfer schools. The class group chat erupted into chaos when my attendance at the wedding was confirmed. They accused me, just like in high school, of being a poor girl faking her status. In their eyes, Clara was the real deal. In the past, I kept a low profile, focusing on my studies and not making friends. I looked like a nerd. In contrast, Clara was young and attention-grabbing. She seemed familiar with a high society lifestyle, misleading everyone into believing she was the daughter of a tycoon. That's why they ridiculed me in the group. I let out a cold laugh, wondering if their attitudes would change once they saw me at the wedding. The next day, Clara's wedding takes place at the mansion. To flaunt her status, she spent a fortune to make the venue look grand. The empty mansion had been adorned with luxurious decorations. Looking at my mansion, which had undergone significant changes, I pulled out my phone to ask the butler about it. At that moment, I saw Clara's sycophants surrounding her in the main hall. They were fawning over her. Clara, your wedding is grand. The mansion is huge, and your dress looks expensive. I assume your husband is very wealthy. Of course he is. Clara is marrying the CEO of Nova Lux Group. He's the best of the best. Did you know he earns millions a year? He's rich and handsome. How I envy Clara. She grew up like a princess and found herself a prince. The classmates gushed over Clara, who looked smug with all the praise. I was surprised to hear her present my husband's company, the Luxor Group, as her husband's. With a hint of sarcasm, I taunted her. If your husband is so rich, why would he borrow someone else's mansion for the wedding? My words cut through the air, drawing Clara and her group's attention. Their smiles vanished, replaced by sour expressions. Crossing their arms, they sneered at me. Elisa Martins, I can't believe you had the audacity to show up. Don't you have any shame? Besides, the mansion belongs to Clara's husband's family. Why are you being so snarky? Jealous much? Hey, Ms. V, where'd you get that fake Hermes bag? That logo looks so fake. When are you going to stop being so vain? They mocked me, just like they used to in school. I laughed. In school, my father had donated to several academic buildings. Those contributions, along with my excellent grades, secured me a guaranteed spot at a top university before I even took the entrance exams. However, Clara defamed me, claiming I was faking everything. She showed photos of my mansion, the pool, the private theater, and my father's sports car collection in the garage. She even took a photo of herself standing next to my father to make her lies more convincing. The school turned against me. The photos caused the poor girl pretending to be a tycoon's daughter to lose her guaranteed university admission. At first, I thought of calling my father to clear things up, but he had to undergo emergency surgery for a heart attack. To avoid stressing him further, I kept the events at school a secret. Thankfully, his surgery was successful, and I received an offer from a prestigious school abroad, where I met my now husband, Enrique Silva. After we got married, we returned to the country, only to discover that Clara hadn't stopped her charade. She continued pretending to be me and took over my house, this very mansion. I wanted to reveal the real owner of the mansion, the Silva family, but Clara lunged at me and slapped me across the face. Elisa Martins. You owe me this from 10 years ago. I'm settling the score now. I never imagined Clara would hit me. Caught off guard, I stumbled and fell. My cheek burned red and swollen. I was utterly humiliated. How dare you hit me? I growled. What's stopping me? Back in school, you impersonated me, claiming you were the rich daughter of a tycoon. Now you're spreading rumors that my husband doesn't own this mansion. You're asking for trouble. Clara was furious. Her face twisted as she stormed up to me. Gritting her teeth, she threatened me. Do you have any idea who my husband is? He's Joao, the CEO of Nova Lux Group. What makes you think you have the right to question him? At her words, a few of her sycophants sneered at me with disdain. Did you hear that? Clara's husband is Joao Montero, the CEO of Nova Lux Group. That company is worth billions. Only a rich girl like Clara could marry into such a powerful family, not some pathetic liar like you, Elisa. Elisa, you shameless liar. You impersonated Clara in school, and now you're spreading lies about her at her wedding. Apologize to Clara right now for looking down on her. Or don't blame us for getting rough with you. Don't waste time on this lowlife, Elisa. You've crossed the future wife of the CEO of Estilo Nova Group. Girls, let's teach her a lesson for Clara. With that, they charged at me. They yanked my hair and slapped me across the face. The sting from the slap was immediate. I was stunned, but they weren't done. They shoved me to the ground, cursed me, kicked me, and tore at my clothes and bag. Pain coursed through my body, and my rage boiled over. I shouted, "Stop. This villa is mine. Get out." Taken aback, they paused for a moment before bursting into laughter, their voices dripping with mockery. Looks like Ms. Martins is acting up again. This time she's not pretending to be a rich girl, but is claiming to own the villa. Ha ha ha. It's ridiculous. How can someone be so shameless? She's a compulsive liar. Clara's face twisted with even more disdain. You really don't know when to call it quits. I was kind to you in high school when I ignored your attempts to assume my identity. Now you're here to ruin my wedding. I won't play nice if you upset me today. She lunged at me. Her sharp nails raked across my face and body, leaving cuts that soon began to bleed. The group yanked off my jewelry and smashed it on the ground before ripping my clothes apart. In no time, my clothes were in tatters. I was almost fully exposed. Trembling with fury, I pulled out my phone to call the police, but Clara kicked it out of my hand. I said through clenched teeth, "Enough. This villa is mine. If you don't believe me, get the butler to bring the property deed." They all froze for a moment. Just then, a car could be heard outside, and someone shouted, "Clara, the butler is here." Clara's face changed, and I finally had hoped that my identity could be proven. Just as I was about to call for the butler, Roberto, I saw him approach Clara. A broad smile appeared on his face as he eagerly handed over a set of keys. "Mrs. Costa, you look so beautiful today. These keys are from Mr. Costa. He asked me to give them to you." Clara's face beamed with pride as she took the keys. Then she pointed at me. "Roberto, you've come just in time. This madwoman keeps claiming she owns my villa. Please tell everyone whose villa this really is." "That's nonsense. This villa belongs to Mr. Costa." Roberto grinned obsequiously, practically licking Clara's boots as he spoke. As soon as he said those words, everyone looked at me with even more disdain. Some even murmured insults. Fury rose within me. Ignoring the blood dripping down my face, I gritted my teeth and glared at the butler, shouting, "I don't care who paid you to spread these lies, but this villa belongs to the Silva family. My husband, Enrique Silva, is the rightful owner. How dare you show up uninvited to throw a wedding and then lay your hands on me? If my husband finds out, you won't get away with this." As I shouted in anger, Clara burst into laughter. Her voice cut through the air. "Ha ha ha. You say you're Enrique Silva's wife. Who is that man? I've never heard of him. He's probably some poor beggar. Of course, a lowly woman like you only deserves to be with a beggar. You're causing a scene at my wedding and ruining my mood. If I don't teach you a lesson, you'll never learn. Girls, get her." Her lackeys rushed at me like animals. They tore at my clothes, snatched my Hermes bag, and destroyed it with scissors, all the while mocking me for carrying such a convincing counterfeit. Guests who had begun to arrive at the villa started pulling out their phones to record the fight. Worried that her actions might damage her image as Mrs. Costa, Clara ordered her lackeys to drag me into the restroom. Ignoring my screams, they shoved my head into the toilet bowl. The stench and suffocating feeling almost killed me. In that desperate moment, I summoned all my strength to shove Clara away and bolted out of the restroom. I raced toward the exit of the villa. Clara, whom I had knocked to the ground, screamed, "Hurry! Grab that woman and bring her back." My clothes were shredded into rags, and I was a total mess. My car was parked right outside the villa. I would be safe if I could just get to it. I clung to that hope as I ran toward the car. Just as I reached the door, they caught me. They slapped me in the face, once more. "How dare you run away? Oh, do you have a car? Let's see who you're sleeping with to afford that car." They began smashing my car. They picked up large stones and shattered the windows. They rummaged through my belongings inside the car, while shouting, "This slut doesn't even use cheap stuff. Her silk scarf is a limited edition. Looks like her sugar daddy is rich." They set fire to my belongings. The flames leaped toward me as I lay on the ground, bloodied and gasping for air. Clara, watching everything, seemed utterly pleased. When Joao finally realized who I was, his expression completely changed. He released my hair as if he had touched fire, and the silence in the room was so heavy that it felt like even the walls could hear my heart pounding. Clara, however, still clung to her lies. "Joao, darling, she's lying. This woman has always been obsessed with me, even back in school. You're not going to believe her lies, are you?" But Joao didn't seem convinced. He looked at me more closely, and I saw the exact moment the truth hit him. You're Enrique Silva's wife?" he asked, his voice wavering between disbelief and panic. I stood up as best I could, despite my torn clothes and aching body. "Yes, I am. And this mansion belongs to my husband. You and your fiancé have no right to be here, let alone do this to me." The guests started murmuring, some of them recording everything on their phones. Clara, seeing her facade crumble, lost control. "Liar. You're lying just like always. This house is mine now, and you're just an intruder." She moved toward me again, but this time I raised my hand to stop her. "Enough, Clara. You slandered me in school, destroyed my reputation, and now you invade my home. Lie to everyone here and assault me? You've gone too far." My voice, though tired and pained, carried the anger of years. Joao tried to pull Clara away by her arm, attempting to calm her down, but she yanked herself free, still hysterical. "Joao, I did this for us. We needed a place worthy of our wedding, and this mansion was empty. It doesn't matter who owns it. It's ours now." He looked stunned. "You lied to me too? You told me this house was yours, that your family bought it. Clara, what else have you been hiding from me?" While they argued, I seized the moment to grab my fallen phone. Ignoring the pain throbbing throughout my body, I called Enrique. He answered quickly, and I explained everything, trying not to cry. "They invaded the mansion, assaulted me, destroyed my things. You need to come now." Enrique was silent for a moment, but when he spoke, his voice was firm. "I'm on my way. Call the police." The mention of the police drained the color from Clara's face. She began pleading with Joao to intervene. "Please, we can't let this end like this. Think of our reputation." But Joao, visibly ashamed, stepped away from her. "You're on your own in this, Clara." As we waited for the police and Enrique to arrive, the guests started to leave, uncomfortable with the growing tension. Some kept recording, and I knew that within hours, the truth would be everywhere. Clara tried several times to approach me, but her glances weren't of regret. They were filled with pure hatred. She was planning something, and I knew this wasn't over. Enrique arrived quickly, accompanied by 2 security guards. As soon as he saw me, his face contorted with anger and concern. He wrapped me in a protective embrace before turning to Clara and Joao. "You have 10 minutes to leave this property before the police arrive. And Clara, believe me, I'll make sure you pay for all of this." Clara tried to argue, but the arrival of the police put an end to whatever excuses she might have come up with. We were all taken to the station to give statements. I recounted everything, from the invasion to the assaults, while Clara continued to insist on her innocence. Joao, on the other hand, seemed resigned, as if he had finally realized what kind of person he had trusted. After hours at the station, we returned home, or what was left of it. The wedding decorations were still everywhere, a reminder of the humiliation I had endured. Enrique, standing beside me, promised we would fix everything, but something inside me was broken. It wasn't just the house that needed repair, it was my dignity. Clara was released after paying bail, and I knew she wouldn't give up so easily. The news was already spreading across social media, and many began criticizing Clara for her lies and behavior. But deep down, I knew she wouldn't accept defeat. As I stared out the window that night, the phone rang. I picked it up, expecting it to be one of the lawyers, but a cold, familiar voice replied, "This isn't over, Elisa. You'll regret trying to destroy me, Clara." I hung up the phone, but the chill down my spine remained. She was willing to go even further. And this time, I knew I had to be prepared for whatever she had planned. After that night when I received Clara's threat, my resolve hardened. I was no longer the girl who let others define my story. Clara had gone too far, and this time, it would be her turn to face the consequences. In the following days, I gathered every piece of evidence I could. Footage from the guests, police reports, property damage, and even old school records where Clara had ruined my reputation. I contacted top lawyers and ensured that a solid case was built against her. Meanwhile, Enrique began repairing the damage to the mansion, but he insisted on hiring security guards for our protection. Clara, for her part, didn't remain idle. Despite the negative backlash from her exposed lies, she tried to turn the narrative in her favor, spreading rumors about me, claiming I was obsessed with her and that I was the real villain. Joao, now aware of all her deceit, had ended their engagement, but Clara seemed determined to use any means to maintain her false image. A few weeks later, the first court hearing was scheduled. Clara arrived at the courthouse with an air of arrogance, impeccably dressed, as if she were walking onto a runway. I, on the other hand, remained calm. My lawyer presented all the evidence, including the videos showing Clara and her accomplices assaulting me and destroying my property. As the footage played, Clara's face shifted from confident to utterly panicked. She knew there was no escape. When it was her turn to speak, Clara tried her usual manipulative rhetoric. I was provoked. She's been obsessed with me since school. Everything I did was to defend myself. This woman is jealous of me. But her words rang hollow, and the judge seemed immune to her performance. The sentence was severe. Clara was ordered to pay a substantial fine for both material and moral damages, as well as mandatory community service. Most importantly, the judge imposed a restraining order requiring her to stay at least 500 meters away from me and my family. The decision brought a sense of relief I hadn't felt in years. But I knew Clara wouldn't accept defeat so easily. A few days after the trial, I learned she had been fired from her job, which she'd secured through Joao's connections, and was facing financial difficulties. Still, she continued to spread defamatory claims about me online. Each time she tried, Enrique and I were ready with more evidence and the support of witnesses to shut her down. At the same time, I decided it was time to rebuild my life without carrying the shadows of the past. Enrique and I hosted an event at our mansion, but this time to launch a new charitable project we had created together, a fund to support young people who had experienced bullying or defamation. The response was incredible, and many people, including former witnesses to Clara's actions, came forward to share their stories, strengthening our cause. While I thrived, Clara spiraled downward. Her former friends abandoned her, and her family, embarrassed, cut ties with her. Months later, I heard she had left the city, without resources and completely discredited. Part of me felt pity for her, but I knew it was the result of her own choices. Years later, as I walked through the gardens of the mansion with Enrique and our children, I reflected on how much life had changed. The wounds Clara had inflicted had finally healed, not because she was gone from my life, but because I had chosen to rebuild my story with resilience and dignity. One afternoon, while sorting through correspondence, I received an envelope with no return address. Inside was a handwritten letter. I immediately recognized Clara's handwriting. She spoke of how she had lost everything, how she was living in a small apartment, working temporary jobs. "I don't expect you to forgive me," the letter read. "But I want you to know that, in the end, I paid for every wrong I did to you." I closed the envelope without finishing the letter. Not because I still harbored anger, but because I realized I no longer needed anything from Clara. My life was complete. Enrique and I were happy, and my reputation, once destroyed, now seemed insignificant in the face of everything I had achieved. As the sun set that evening, I smiled to myself. Revenge hadn't been the path I chose, but justice, and above all, moving forward, had closed this chapter once and for all.